The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. When Jesus heard of the death of John the Baptist, he withdrew in a boat to a deserted place by himself. The crowds heard of this and followed him on foot from their towns. When he disembarked and saw the vast crowd, his heart was moved with pity for them, and he cured their sick. When it was evening, the disciples approached him and said, "This is a deserted place and it is already late. Dismiss the crowds so that they can go to the villages and buy food for themselves." Jesus said to them, "There is no need for them to go away. Give them some food yourselves." But they said to him, 5 loaves and 2 fish are all we have here." Then he said, "Bring them here to me." And he ordered the crowds to sit down on the grass. Taking the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, and looking up to heaven, he said the blessing, broke the loaves, and gave them to the disciples, who in turn gave them to the crowds. They all ate and were satisfied. And they picked up the fragments left over, 12 wicker baskets full. Those who ate were about 5,000 men, not counting women and children. The Gospel of the Lord. Every time I read this gospel, I feel just a little bad for Jesus. He just wanted some time away by himself, right? He had just heard of the death of his cousin, John the Baptist. And as many of us would want to do, we hear the death of somebody close to us, we just want to be alone. And so he says he withdrew to a deserted place by himself. But the crowds heard of it. They heard where he was going, and they followed him. It wasn't their fault. They didn't know he was looking to be alone, but they followed him nonetheless. And it says when Jesus saw them, his heart was moved with pity for them. So he spent all day curing their sick. And then evening comes around, and the disciples notice that they have no food. So Jesus performs the miracle of the multiplication of the loaves and the fish. And this miracle that Jesus does, it has these Eucharistic vibes, right? It says that Jesus took the loaves, looked up to heaven, blessed them, broke them, and gave them. And this comes from the Gospel of Matthew. When Matthew writes this, he does it intentionally to echo the Last Supper. Because Jesus does the same thing there at the Last Supper. He takes bread, blesses it, breaks it, and gives it. At the Last Supper, Jesus is faced with death. He knows that he's about to die on the cross. He responds by giving the Eucharist, by giving of himself. And here in this miracle, the multiplication of the loaves and fish, Jesus is faced with death. He hears of the death of John the Baptist, and he responds by giving bread. So in the face of death, Jesus gives life. Now, going back to the beginning, remember how John the Baptist was killed, right? Jesus is mourning his death, and remember how he lost his life. It was at a banquet. It was at a feast. King Herod threw a feast, and it became basically a feast of death, right? They were drunk, they were lusting, and he agrees in all of this to put the head of John the Baptist on a platter. So Jesus also answers with a feast, except this is a banquet of life where everyone is fed and satisfied. One feast took a life, the other feast gives life. Now, here's the message that we can take from it, is that many of us are carrying grief, right? The death of a loved one, a broken relationship, disappointment and illness. The instinct can be to isolate ourselves. Now, Jesus shows us that solitude does have its place. You see, he tried to go away by himself. He wanted that's not bad. That's okay. But ultimately, healing comes when we give of ourselves. We can isolate ourselves too much. Remain united in the Eucharist when grieving, because the Eucharist is divine life. It is Jesus giving himself to us, and it's Jesus teaching us how to give ourselves to others, how to remain connected. In this miracle, Jesus multiplied bread with a heart that had just been broken. And that is what divine love looks like. It doesn't wait until pain is over to begin giving itself away.